Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. For those of you who don't know me, I'm your host, David Corson. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation magazine. Thanks for coming in and listening to our episode this evening. Hope everybody's safe out there, washing your hands, not touching your face, enjoying the summer, staying cool. Not listening to all the doom and glooms out there on the media. Can't change it anyway. What's going to be, what's going to be. But we're going to have fun tonight. We always do. Have a really nice lady that I've had multiple conversations with. She was introduced to me from my business partner on my Lead Up for Women magazine. And she has a construction background and deals with contractors, architects, engineers, helps people with cash flow and financing. Her company is called B2B CFO. Her name is Debi Corrie. Debbie, say hi to our fans out there.
Hi, fans. Great to see you. I'm so excited to be here tonight.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. I think you've got an immense amount of knowledge that I think a lot of our listeners will be able to take a knowledge nugget and apply it to themselves. As we all know, cash is king, especially these days. And,
or queen. It depends on your perspective.
You know what? You're exactly right. But I'm always cash is king. I like having money in the bank, and that's just the way my parents taught me. Hey, be a saver, have money in the bank for the rainy days. And, when you want something, you buy it, and you always want to be smart with money because really, that's what gets things done, whether it's, cash or if you're financing or long-term debt or whatever it might be. So with that said, we always talk about your background and where you're from, where you went to school, where you grew up, how you got into what you're doing today. I know you're in multiple businesses, so let's just dive right into it. Debbie, tell us your story.
Yeah, so I'm a Midwest girl. I was born in Ohio. My grandpa had a cottage on Lake Erie, spent a lot of time fishing in my youth and camping, loved all that stuff. And then in the 80s, we had this thing called a recession, and my dad ended up in St. Louis, and our whole family moved there. If you're a St. Louis and nobody asks you where you go to college, it's like you're an import because everybody wants to know where you went to high school. So luckily, I moved here my first year of high school, and I can tell everybody I went to Parkway West. But for college, I actually went to UMSL into business school, and I majored in accounting because I loved numbers. And so, I started out in transportation. I actually worked in transportation for 14 years. Started out as an accountant and actually became a regional controller. And the last 6 years, I actually ran transportation contracts. And I got to tell you that operations experience combined with having an accounting and finance background, it just opened up my entire world to, how to help people with numbers and cash and financing in real time and talk in plain English to people. And I think that's so important. So I left that industry and actually started working for an engineering firm. And that was my first breath with construction. They used to do robotics. They made conveyors, material handlers. So a lot of capital projects that they did. And my husband and I actually ended up back here in St. Louis in about 2006. And I started working for a local door hardware company here. And we were subs on a lot of big jobs with McCarthy and some of the bigger construction players here in St. Louis. And it was a great training ground. So I learned all about trades and unions. And one of the things I helped that company with was how to increase their cash flow. Because as we all know, generals don't want to pay us on time, right? And generals like to hold their money, and they have these terms called paid when paid. And how the heck do you deal with these people that are holding the purse strings? So, it was a great training ground for how to help businesses increase their cash flow and some tricks of the trade and some things that you can do to help you with your cash. So it's been a lot of fun. I found myself changing jobs every 3 to 4 years after I got out of transportation. And my husband would get so frustrated with me. He'd be like, "You've been at this company 3 years. Why do you have to move?" And so about 4 years ago, I was working on a startup, had been there a year, I came home, my husband looks at me, he goes, "Oh my God, you want to switch jobs?" And I said, "No, I really don't want to switch jobs." I said, I want to start my own business. And he said, "What?" He goes, "Are you crazy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I want to start my own business." I said, "I see all these companies, I was going in and helping people get their numbers right, get their cash right, help them make more profits. And I wanted to be able to help more than one business at a time." So that's how I found the firm that I currently work for, B2B CFO, because I'm able to help multiple businesses at a time with whatever their needs are on an as needed basis. And it's a lot of fun to see successful business owners just be more successful. I just help them with a part of their business that they don't have expertise in, and that allows them to do the things that they do best.
Listen, working for yourself, nothing like it. I went out, when I went out on my own, it was right after 9/11. Everybody
Hmm.
told me, don't do it, don't do it. My parents, hey, you've got an expense account,
Right,
401k,
right.
making a lot of money. And I just said, I worked for Nielsen, and my construction book was 3 years old. When I launched my construction book, my son was born that year. So I considered it my kid. And then when they whacked about 30 magazines right before Thanksgiving, and it just soured me on corporate America. So I flew up, I met with the president. I said, "You're going to sell
Hmm.
me the magazine?" And they said, "We love you. You could retire here. You're crazy." I said, "I'm going on the road. You got a week. When I come back, you got to make a decision." And they thought I was bluffing.
Right.
I came back. I said, "You're going to sell me the magazine?" They said, "No." I said, "Here's my resignation. December
Yeah,
17th, 2001.
right.
And I started my business with a fax, phone line, and a press release. And I'm still standing today. But
Yeah, I started my business with my family and friends and my LinkedIn contacts and had to build my whole network here in St. Louis. And now actually I have contacts all over the United States. But, it's scary when you take that first step, especially from a finance person's point of view, because for us, everything seems to be black and white, right? And now there is no black and white. It's a scary road you start down, and there are no, true
well,
answers like when you're a W-2 employee, right?
yeah. Well, listen. When you're the owner, you go down with the ship. So I didn't take a paycheck for 6 or 7 months, and you got to pay the printer up front. And
Right.
some of my clients are like, "Hey, you know what, David? I'm not going to give you X amount of dollars for that. I'm only going to give you this because I like you, I believe in you, but I want to make sure you're going to succeed." And uh, so it was an interesting. It was you have to have blinders on. You can't be negative. You can't let any of the
Right.
naysayers. 9 out of 10 businesses don't make it, and being a quitter is not in my DNA. I'm a competitor. I'm a sports guy. I got my
Hmm.
lacrosse jersey on, my shirt. So, uh, but I totally understand going out your own. Even when you want to start your own business, some people are probably like, "Oh, you're crazy. Don't do that." But looking back, uh, when I quit or Nielsen, I knew
Hmm.
if I didn't act quickly, someone was going to try to fill my void that I had. And
Right.
so I put my first magazine out in 2 months, and then we put
Yeah.
another one out, and then we did
Yeah.
this and that, and then went through the Bush years. Everybody said they were terrible. Hey, I made more money than I ever made in my life during that time. And then the recession, like you said,
Yeah.
and it cleaned out a lot of contractors. Only the strong survived. A lot of people learned how to do more with less. I streamlined my business. We sold one. We had 3 magazines, sold one of them condensed, and learned how to. Actually, the recession was probably one of the best things that happened to me. I learned so much about my business and
Yeah.
cash flow, cutting. You don't need to do this, and now I had 14 employees way back when. Now I do everything with 5, and now with this, everything's changed. I've had to revamp myself again because I'm an event guy. All my events have been frozen. No one can go anywhere. So it's uh, it's been a learning experience. And a lot of the people I've talked to, they've been more productive, and they've learned that people can work out of their house. And I mean, listen, I feel terrible about all the people in my industry that have sent me resumes that have been furloughed and laid off. I mean, it's crushing when I get these emails and so forth. But for a lot of companies, they're learning how to get things done and get it done any way that they can, and survival of the fittest. And
I'm seeing a lot of innovation. People are looking and finding different ways to do things and better ways to do things. And it's been pretty amazing.
you know,
So I saw here in our local area, there was a pizzeria. And this gal in Edwardsville, Illinois, is now selling frozen pizzas all across the United States, started a new business because of COVID. I mean, figured out how to flash freeze pizzas and went from being just a local business. Now she delivers all over the US. It's mind blowing. She's done it in 90 days.
oh yeah,
So there are all kinds of opportunities out there to generate new revenue streams. We just have to start thinking outside the box and what we're doing today. For example, here in St. Louis, construction, believe it or not, has not slowed down. We're seeing bids go out. We're seeing construction being done. It's one of the few industries around here that there's still a lot of production going on. Contracts haven't stopped. What we are seeing is general slowing down payments, right? Because cash is getting tight, and we're seeing that everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of my firms and a lot of contractors, even architects or engineers, and on the brand side, they're cutting the checks, where it's been, hey, listen, we had 30, 60-day terms. It's not going to be 90, 120. Or the projects that we had, you know what, put a hold on them. We're going to relaunch them in 2021 when we kind of know what's going on. Or look, we're going to complete the projects that we have, but the ones that we were going to break ground on, those are, it really depends on which sector that you're in,
right,
and who you're dealing with. But that's the general consensus, is that payments have been pushed out, and especially if you've already, you got to pay your subs.
Right. Well, just because a big contractor tells you that this is the payment plan, that doesn't mean that has to be the payment plan. So there's always room for negotiation. Remember, the other person sitting across from the table from you is going to want the best terms for themselves. And so your job is to go back and negotiate. A lot of my clients, we're going out and proposing 4 payment plans. Oh, Larry, you can't do all this for us, and we know that. So we've got a whole system in place for you. Do you want our 4 payment, 3 payment, or 2 payment plan to get this debt paid off? And people are grateful. They're really grateful for this, David, because business owners want to pay their vendors and they want to pay their suppliers. And this allows them to do that with grace as their cash flow gets better. It helps everybody. So, going back and talking to your generals, another thing you can do is, if you're in the retention stage of that business, get 50% of the retention reduced. Go back to the general, talk to them about that 10% going down to 5% because you've done all your parts of the bid. A lot of times they'll do it because they know the money's not going to be released.
Yeah, like here in Georgia, we didn't slow down. Most of the construction kept on going on, and depending on what state that you were doing construction in, some of those projects were impossible to get done just because of the regulations. I had a person in Pennsylvania, a contractor, call, we were talking, and she said, if you're doing a DOT project, there's plenty of room and space for social distancing. You could get that project done. But if you're doing a TI, improvement in the mall, and you're a plumber or electrician, and you need people at close quarters, it was impossible to get the job done. So depending on where you were in the country, kind of dictated how your construction was going to go on, as well as, if they were going to, the brands, whether you're a retailer, restaurant, hotelier, that's our sector, if they were going to continue, with their business. And some people just have been cruising right along. Others kind of put things on hold. It's been a mixed bag. And we used to do monthly cocktail receptions around the country. I did mine in February in Miami. We took a tour of the Cocoa Walk. It was a renovation of a mall. March came, boom, the pandemic came. Everything stopped dead in its tracks. And luckily I had my big event in January, so I lucked out. But all my events have been frozen. So we've been doing these virtual events. And the last one we did Trivial Pursuit. And at the end, we did 3 games. And at the end, everybody kind of told what was going on. And some were bullish, some were bearish. Some of the salespeople were like, "Oh my God, trying to get people on the phone is so tough because they
Right, right.
brands don't want to say no."
Business phone numbers, right?
Yeah, they don't want to tell you no because they don't know what they
Right.
don't know where they are. And so it was interesting to hear how everybody is kind of dealing with the country reopening and how companies are coming back. But there was also some really good stories about innovation of how brands are reinventing themselves and
Right.
using technology, becoming more productive. I think nothing against that. And I know in some of my podcasts previously, the commercial real estate market's going to be, you won't even recognize it probably 5 years from now.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities because commercial real estate isn't going to be able, it may not be able to go to big companies like Centene or Energizer and fill whole buildings. So they're going to look for construction folks to come in and divvy those spaces up so they can have multiple businesses in there. And how do they do that? It's going to be a huge opportunity because they're going to have to reinvent those spaces and do something else with them. I think for construction, if you've been in the retail space, that can be a huge opportunity for you, helping them with those types of buildings. You guys and gals already have that experience. It just was called retail, and now you're going to use it someplace else.
Yeah, one of my clients, they said their lease was, I think, $15,000 a month and X amount of employees. And they just said, you know what? We've been so productive the last couple of months. We're letting everybody work out of their house. They don't have to do the wear and tear in Atlanta traffic every day, burning gas, sitting in rush hour, work out of their house. And, non-essential travel, we still want them to go out and look at the sites and the punch list and, but
right.
They don't need the office. They might keep a little office, or if they need to do a meeting, they can either do it online like we're doing now, or they'll go rent a space in a hotel room or someplace or conference center if they need be. But I think the commercial real estate guys, those guys are going to have to reinvent themselves just like everybody else,
Right.
and just like the lady was doing the pizzas, she was doing, now she's national. But
right.
you got to act quick. You got to think quick. Because
right. So the worst thing you can do right now is be indecisive. Just make a decision, because your decisions your whole life, they've either been right or wrong. The pandemic doesn't change any of that. If you don't make a decision, you could lose your entire business. You've got to make a decision about what you're going to do next. It's incredibly important. And there's still some free money available. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but if you haven't applied for an EIDL loan yet, the EIDLs have been opened back up. For every employee you have, you can get a free $10,000, up to a free $10,000 grant from the government, and up to $150,000 borrowed. And you're like, well, I don't want to borrow. Well, listen to these terms. You're never going to hear them again. You can get $150,000 or 3.75% is the highest interest rate. That payment's only $711 a month, and you don't have to pay anything for the first year. So you may be sitting here listening to this right now and saying, well, Debbie, I don't need it. Let me tell you, you don't know if you're going to need it. Go apply. You can hold on to it for a year. If you don't need it, give it back.
Give it back.
But don't not apply because you're sitting there today saying, well, I don't need it. You don't know if you're going to need it. Go get it. Let them tell you how much you can get if it's up to the 150, and just keep it in the bank.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, cash is king. I like having the money in the bank, and I always want to have receivables. Always want to be building on that, looking for new clients. But the idle thing, before we got on, we were talking about it. So the PPP thing, I don't think it was a very smooth rollout.
It was awful. Trust me, I was up, I can't tell you how long, trying to find out all the regs as they came out every hour to know what to tell my clients. It was crazy.
Well, I was with a big bank.
7 days of that program, they were coming out with new regulations literally every hour. The SBA.
My CPA, I call my CPA, and when I first applied, of course I was with a big bank. I didn't get it the first time. Then I went with another bank, and then, I got it. And, but he told me, he goes, David, every day they're changing the rules. He just said, do it this way, and then, we'll figure it out. And every day it would just change, and they're still changing it. And
Well, David, you said something really super duper important, and I don't want to miss this point tonight.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just because you went to your bank and got turned down for a loan doesn't mean another bank will give it to you. I think
That's
that's
exactly what I did.
incredibly important.
That's
So,
exactly
and
what
that's
I
exactly
did.
what you did. Not everybody likes construction, folks. So you may be at a bank that doesn't like construction and not even know it. There are other banks in your local area that love construction, and they will give you loans. So don't, just assume because you got turned down by your bank or the bank you've banked at forever that you're unbankable. That's just not true. There's somebody out there that can probably do that loan for you and like your type of business.
What was funny was that they, my big bank, they told me my loan was in, my PP loan was in status, still getting reviewed. And then they said I didn't send the right paperwork. And my CPA is like, look, you've sent everything I told you to send up. All right. So they turned me down. So then I'm hooked up with someone in Alignable that does the SBA loans. She emailed me, hey, blah, blah, blah. I told her the story. She goes, no, I'll get it done for you. So
Yeah.
I did it to there, and I got it. Then the other bank, my big bank, called me back, and they said, hey, we want to get you. And you know what the banker told me? She goes, look, this isn't even my department. I've been called up, I've been trained, and I'm just all hands on deck. And I said, oh, you're trying to save all your customers because you're one of the big five, and all your people are going to close up because they didn't get it. And you only give the money to the big businesses, or the people that didn't need it, that were on the news, that got the money. I'm not going to mention any names, but we all know who they are. When the small guys like me, we're the ones that are driving the country. There are more small businesses than there are large businesses.
54% of the United States is small business.
Yeah. So
4%.
So I was someone that I was on Alignable with, and boom, I got it. And, it was great. And, but when I was talking to this lady, I go, what are you, a janitor? And they trade you, and now you're doing loans. And she's like, I don't want to tell you, but it's all hands on deck. We're making sure everybody's going to, get the thing. And I said, well,
Well, there's another loan that has not been talked about a lot, and it's the SBA 7A loan. And that's a fixed loan. And if you get that loan before, I'm going to look at my cheat notes here so I say the date right, September 27th of this year, the SBA will make the first 6 payments for you.
Oh, wow.
They've never done that. And that can be done by your local banker. That's an SBA approved banker. So you can use those loans for equipment. Maybe you need to term out some working capital, or you're looking to buy a building. So I want to make sure that your listeners and viewers also know about that, because that's unheard of. They've never done it before.
Yeah. I've learned so much about just dealing with this whole process when the SBA came out with the EIDL, PPP, this and that, going through it, filling out the paperwork. The most amazing thing was it was the EIDL disaster, and on the application they're asking about my building or whatever, and I'm like, I'm an event guy. I don't have any damage. I have damage because there are no events. No one's flying. Yeah. You can't fly. Everything's closed. That's my disaster. I didn't have a tree fall on me because the storm blew through,
Now, if you go online, it's a very simple application. And that's another thing for people to know. They're not asking for your tax returns or any of that anymore. They want to get as much money out to business owners as possible. So if you started that process and looked at it and said, this is crazy town, it's no longer crazy town, I promise. Just go in there, answer about 2 pages of very simple questions, and you're well on your way.
Well, this has all been great because I've lived it the last 2 months, and I'm still standing here. And I don't want to use. I'm social distancing, pivoting. I'm so sick of all those words. But the best point that you said was, don't be indecisive. And that was. I put my March April issue out. I had a meeting with my editor and my artist. I said, hey, we can't wait 2 months to put another issue out. We got to get it out. And we went monthly. We cut our press run down minimal. We increased our footprint digitally. And I was normally sending out 30,000 emails. Now I send out 160 to 200,000. Our social media is going up, hits. Everybody's at home on their computer. And it's been great. Am I a face-to-face guy? Yeah. I'm not. I don't belong in a cave. I want to go and have fun. But right now, that's just not in the cards until the vaccine is found. And those events are not going to happen. And COVID might be here with us for a while. This might be what we are. And I don't want to use the new normal either. Oh God, those terms. It's just
there is no new normal. We don't.
No, this is reality.
Yeah.
You got a bad flu bug out there. It's very contagious. You got to be careful, but you still have to live. You still got to run a business, but you got to figure out the best way to do it. And so we acted very quickly. I had a digital magazine for the last 10 years, so I kind of had it. Other people didn't. So being decisive and not everything's going to work. You got to throw the spaghetti up on the wall.
So what if it didn't work? Just make the next decision. You know the outcome.
Yeah, and you'll know very quickly.
And
you'll know very quickly if it works or not. You just will.
Just keep moving along. And so make sure that you're not being a procrastinator right now too. Get your pay apps in time so you're not missing those 30-day deadlines, with your AIA billings. It's super duper important. I know there's other things on your mind, but the shortest way to get your cash in and the easiest way is making sure that you get your billings out on time. And then, that you're sending them to the right people, and make sure you got your change orders approved, guys and gals, because we all know how long it takes to get paid on those. When Larry at the job site asks you to do something, but his supervisor, the guy with the purse strings, isn't going to pay for it. So just take that extra 5 or 10 minutes to make that phone call and make sure you're going to get those change orders done.
So if you want to leave our commercial construction coffee talk fans with one thought or word, what would it be?
Stop worrying, make decisions, and when you can, go get that line of credit you've been putting off, because now you know how important it is for your business.
Good advice, sound advice. I'm taking it. If someone wants to get in touch with you, if they have any questions on anything, on different programs that you discussed tonight, how would they reach out to you?
So they can reach me at my email, which is Debi, Debi Corrie, Corrie, at B as in boy, the number 2, B as in boy, CFO.com. So that's Debi Corrie at B2B CFO.com.
Okay. You want to reach out to me? I'm at David C, like cat, David C at CCR, that's Charlie Robert, and then a hyphen or a small dash, michaelapplegeorge.com, David C at CCR-mag.com. And I can also put you in touch with Debbie as well. Well, this has been an awesome talk. Last week I had Orscheln Farm and Homes out of Missouri, central breadbasket retailer. And we've had vendors, we've had all sorts. So you're my first really finance person. Awesome discussion. This has been great.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been so much fun.
I learn something new every day. The day I stop learning is the day I got to go do something else. That's what I always tell. I don't know everything. So I just learned, about the other loan that the SBA was in there, and no better time than better to get the credit when you never know what's going to happen next year.
That's exactly right. You got to get the credit when you don't need it, guys and gals, because when you need it, the bank doesn't want to give it. That's just the way it works. Well,
commercial construction coffee talk fans, that's the end of our show. We want to thank Ms. Debi Corrie for her financial expertise in telling us what we should do as we come out of the closing down the country and opening up. And if you're an architect, contractor, engineer, anything like that, and you have some financial questions, sounds like this lady knows what she's talking about. So email her. And
I'll be happy to answer them. Absolutely.
So we really appreciate you finding the time. And if you want to find us on the web, we do our podcast on Spotify, Google and Apple. I also post them up on our website, and we stream them up on our social media. If you're not a subscriber to the magazine, up on my toolbar at ccr-mag.com, hit the subscribe button. We can add you to the mailing list, and you can get our monthly publication. And if you have any cool projects, we'd love to hear from you. So, to St. Louis, Missouri, thanks for the time, Debbie. Enjoy the 4th of July, Independence Day.
I will, you too.
And like I said in the beginning, wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Just keep your surroundings. You'll be okay. We're all going to make it. We're going to come back bigger, better, stronger.
Stop watching news 24/7.
Yeah, shut it off. Have some fun. Smile.
Right.
So, thanks again, Debbie. This was an awesome talk. Fans out there, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. And with that said, we're saying goodnight from Atlanta, GA. See you later, Debbie. All right?
See you later.
All right. See ya.